Mark Rogers TV, week 9 of our college football predictions, coming off a very strong 16-9 performance against the spread last week. We are 3-2 in our confidence picks last week against the spread. That makes us 13-8 in our confidence picks overall this season, so listen up for those. We've got 3 coming your way. We begin on Thursday night with Clemson and Wake Forest, the Tigers in the top 25, and looking to keep ACC hopes alive. We like Clemson to win the game, but take Wake plus the 16.5 points at home. On Friday night, a huge matchup in the Big East. Cincinnati at Louisville. The Cardinals trying to stay undefeated. The Bearcats still in the hunt for the Big East with only 1 loss. We like Louisville to win another close game, and they've all been close, practically. They will cover the 3.5 points, barely against the Bearcats in that game on Friday night. Moving to Saturday's action, top 25. Number 1, Alabama hosting Mississippi State. The Bulldogs not being talked about despite an SEC team that's undefeated this far into the season, 7-0. But the toughest team they faced is Tennessee. Of course, they're going to up the ante on Saturday night. Mississippi State goes to Bama. They put up a solid 2 to 3 quarters. Bama wins. Mississippi State covers 24 points. We previewed this game on Mark Rogers TV, so for specifics, check that out. Florida, Georgia. We also highlighted this game earlier in the week on Mark Rogers TV. Check out that preview. Florida, a 6-point favorite, and the Gators too tough for the Bulldogs. Take Florida minus the 6 against the Bulldogs. Kansas State, Texas Tech, another huge game this week. This time in the Big 12, Kansas State lays on the defense, takes out Texas Tech, and they do it minus the 7 points as well. Oregon, Colorado, and if you've ever seen our predictions in the past, you know that we hate the huge point spreads. You don't know who's going to be playing in the fourth quarter, how hard they're going to be playing. That type of matchup, Oregon, Colorado, the Buffs getting 46.5 points. Take them, just take the points, whatever. Oregon wins huge. We don't know if they're going to win by 40 or 50. So we love to just go through all the top 25 games. So for the record, Colorado plus 46, but stay away. Oklahoma, Notre Dame. We previewed this one earlier in the week on Mark Rogers TV. Sooners, Irish should be fun in Norman on Saturday night. The Irish getting 11 points, and we like the 11 points barely. We said 24-13. Take the Irish plus the 11 points. It's going to be difficult for Notre Dame to find points in this football game, although it's an intriguing matchup. Confidence pick. Here we go. USC-Arizona. The Wildcats, just a 6.5 point underdog in this game, but we really love USC in this matchup. They're just a much better football team, more talented. Arizona's played 1 marquee matchup this year, and they got completely drubbed by Oregon. We know they're at home. We know USC doesn't have the depth Oregon does, but we like USC to cover the 6.5 in a confidence pick at Arizona. Oregon State and Washington. Boy, I looked at this and I thought this has upset written all over it. Washington 3-4 at home with some talented players. They got the quarterback in Keith Price. Hosting an Oregon State team that's undefeated. They get their quarterback back this week in Sean Mannion. They survived with the backup Vaz for the past couple weeks. Oregon State just a 4.5 point favorite, but we really looked at these two football teams, and Oregon State just solid defensively and a strong team that's got a veteran quarterback. They don't turn the ball over. And Washington's a different team at home. They're just so much better. They beat Stanford. They played USC close. They get blown out on the road. But we got to go with Oregon State minus the 4.5 against Washington. All right, South Carolina, Tennessee. The Gamecocks hurting after 2 big losses against LSU and Florida. Blown out last week against the Gators. Trying to get healthy. They host Tennessee. Tyler Bray called out by his coach Derek Dooley this week. We talked about that earlier in this week on Mark Rogers TV. Tennessee plus the 14. Take that, but South Carolina, much better defensively, wins the game. Rutgers, Kent State. Kent State out there at 6-1. Rutgers 7-0. Take Kent State. They've been winning football games against decent opponents on their schedule. Rutgers wins close games with defense for the most part in the running game. So Rutgers defeats Kent, but take the 13.5 with the Golden Flashes. All right, we've got Washington State and Stanford. Take Stanford minus the 24.5 to rout Mike Leach's team. Michigan-Nebraska. And you know, Nebraska got that welcome tour to the Big Ten. Got housed by Wisconsin. Got housed by Michigan 45-17 at the Big House. Nebraska, one of those teams that's a much better team at home. They're explosive offense, but they've got leaks all over the place on defense. Michigan is playing very good football right now after the big Bama trouncing. And they actually outplayed Notre Dame in many ways in losing 13-6 on the road. So Michigan, a quality football team. They win at Nebraska, so take Michigan plus the 2.5 points against the Huskers. All right, we've got A&M and Auburn. Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football, taking on the Auburn Tigers. Auburn played that really good game against LSU, almost pulled off the upset, but it's been a very disappointing season for Gene Chizik and company. They lose again, take A&M, but Auburn getting 15 points at home. We like the Tigers in that spot. Texas, Kansas. The Longhorns get it done against Kansas State, lay the 21 points with Texas winning over Charlie Weiss. Ohio and Miami, the Bobcats, could they possibly pull off a BCS bid? Well, not with that schedule, but they are undefeated. Of course, opened with a big win against Penn State. They're laying 7 against Miami, just a 3-4 football team. Looks like a gimme, but Ohio wins close games, but we still like them to cover the 7 against Miami of Ohio. We've got in the Big Ten a confidence pick in Michigan State and Wisconsin. In this, a total hunch because Wisconsin has figured some things out. They're playing much better football right now. Michigan State coming unraveled, but they're not losing by much. Lost by 2 to Michigan, lost by 3 to Iowa. The Ohio State game was a 1-pointer, so Michigan State's got 4 losses, but I thought they were the best team in the Big Ten in the preseason, and I still love that defense. If they can hang on to the football and keep it close, they're going to cover 6.5 at Wisconsin. So we like Michigan State in an upset flat out to win and certainly to cover the 6.5 points and a confidence pick against Wisconsin. We also have Florida State and Duke, and this has to be the biggest mismatch you can imagine. A 7-1 team and a 6-2 team playing in the same conference. Florida State, Duke. Duke has played 2 quality opponents. Stanford, they lost by 37. They lost by 21 to Virginia Tech, and Tech is, of course, down. So Duke getting 27 points, and despite what I just told you, take Duke and the 27. Florida State wins the football game. All right, we've got Boise and Wyoming. Boise not scoring the type points we're accustomed to, but playing the strong defense. They will cover 16 against a 1-6 Wyoming Cowboy team. And finally, Ohio State and Penn State. We've got a confidence pick here for you, and when I first saw the line, I thought this is a gimme. It's pick'em. Ohio State, Penn State. The Buckeyes have far superior talent and athleticism and speed. You got to hand it, though, to Bill O'Brien and Penn State. After 2 tough losses with no carrot dangling at the end in postseason, they've ripped off 6 straight wins. They killed Iowa, as we predicted, on the road. And they're playing great football. They've got a really strong defense, and it's in Happy Valley. Bill O'Brien could be selling this as his bowl game to his team. They've got the Buckeyes undefeated. They would love to pull off the upset. That would make their season. Penn State's got the mojo. We don't know about Braxton Miller. Looks like he's cleared to play, and he's going to be okay. But, boy, he's gotten roughed up in some of the more physical games this year, Michigan State, and last week against Purdue. So, regardless, Ohio State, we go with the talent. We go with Urban Meyer. We know he's coached up Kenny Guyton as the backup quarterback this week. So, Penn State's going to be really revved up for this football game, but take Ohio State in a pick'em game at Happy Valley against the tough Nittany Lions. Mark Rogers TV on our college football predictions week 9. We need to hear from you. We would love to hear your predictions. Tell us what you think on Mark Rogers TV.